How you doing, Lewis?
Very good, thank you. How are you doing, Tom?
I'm very good, mate. You know, I've just come back off the an event that we did last night, a singing contest sort of thing. And I know you do a lot of video projects yourself with your company. And do you ever get this thing that you do a lot of projects with people and you sort of develop like a family relationship sort of thing?
Yeah.
But when it comes to an end, the event, you sort of realise that that's it. You know, and you develop this lovely bond and this lovely relationship, and you can't see yourself really doing like a similar project or the project again for another edition, because we've been doing it for the last 3 years, and it was sort of the end of the night. I was like, holy shit, everyone's graduating or we're off to do different things, so I just don't see myself, you know, doing it again.
So what in terms you say singing project? Well, explain to me a bit. What was it? What does it entail?
So the project itself is our version of Eurovision. It's called X Vision, and for anyone that doesn't know what Eurovision is, it's basically just people from represent different countries and just sing. And at the end of the night, the people in the public and delegations of each singer vote whoever's the winner, sort of thing. And we live streamed it on YouTube, and we did it in a great hall, and it was a good turnout. I mean, This year we had 120 plus people.
Oh, it's good. Good. Who won?
Who won? It was Lucy from the Netherlands.
Oh, fair enough. That's tidy.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, I went to speaking of music, I went to a gig in Bomba on Thursday. That was really good. Never really gone to a live gig sort of in Exeter, but it was good. It was this competition. I forget what the name of the competition was, but it had, I think it's like 5 different bands, and they'd come on and they all played. They like a 4 song set. It was really good. There was one band called The Vive. They're like a local southwest band. They're only like 19. Really, really, really good. Like I came sort of halfway through their set, and I was listening, and I was like, oh, these are really good, like really locked in, really tight. And the guy Dion, who I met afterwards, had an incredible stage presence, was really, really good. So that was fun. So definitely going to be going to more gigs, and sort of just getting into the scene, the sort of like the indie rock sort of music scene. That's sort of what I want to do. But here in the southwest and in Cardiff when I go back home.
Yeah, have you ever done open mic nights?
No, never. So that is one of my big things, is sort of to perform live. That's what I'm looking to do now in 2025. So I've started sort of posting stuff on TikTok, sort of covers. But obviously, as you know, I was supposed to do a live performance today, but Project Music in Exeter, terrible customer service, calling them straight out. If you want to get your guitar fixed, don't go there, definitely. You have to be having you waiting weeks and keep you in the dark like mushrooms. So that's the plan. So I've done a lot of things in sort of university. Like first year I came and sort of didn't really know what I wanted to do. Obviously studying marketing, so I've always had an interest in that. But first year for me was like, I just really, really, really sweated uni work, like to the point where I was stressing over reading so much in first year. And anyone who knows university knows really like you shouldn't really be stressing that much over first year work, but I was. So I'd be waking up at like 6 a.m, getting into forum, just doing all my readings, like staying on top of everything, and then I'd just be training Muay Thai, and that was it. So first year was literally just uni work and Muay Thai, just rinse and repeat. That was all day. And then I had to stop doing Muay Thai because of sort of health reasons. Sort of my skin, I sort of got really bad skin infections. And then so second year, I was gone more into sort of the business aspect of things. Started doing a lot of networking. Started my own company, so I learnt a lot. But this third year, it's definitely been more of a, like what I realised what I really want to do, and it came after I had a conversation with a mentor, and we were on about sort of the old cliche, what would you tell yourself if you were like 14? What advice would you give? And he said, be more brave, and that's something that really resonated with me and stuck with me. And sort of music is something I've always done, And especially during lockdown, I was really heavily into music, so I like producing sort of my own stuff, so I had a lot of spare time on my hands. Then when I got to university, I sort of I just sort of put it on hold because I thought, oh, you know, it's not as important as other things such as uni and whatever. But now in my third year, it's my passion and it's something I really want to do and explore. So that's sort of my main goal is just do music. And I feel I'm in a good situation in terms of a lot of people who go into music or like artists or people who are creative, usually don't have the business skills to go hand in hand. It's either you're sort of a sole artist and musician, or like you're sort of business person. Whereas I feel I can merge the two. So that's where I feel I can be quite successful. And obviously, marketing nowadays that's all. You know, if you're an artist nowadays, you have to be able to do marketing, social media. You need to be wearing all those sort of hats.
You've got your own company, haven't you? Why Marketing, right?
Yeah.
How did you get into doing that?
So I did. So it all started with in sort of the end of first year. I was I wanted some experience, like most students, trying to get some experience in the field, which was quite hard. So I was applying to all these internships. So I was applying and just getting rejected flat out. So I was there and I was like, well, this ain't working. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and trying to expect different results. So I thought, right, well, I'll try a different approach. I'll do some networking. So Sean, my friend Sean, he'd been doing a bit of networking. He said, there's an event in the Ivy, come along. So I was like, okay, great. So I got ready, so I just sort of put on my best suit or whatever, dressed up. I didn't know really what I was going to do, but on the walk there, I said to myself, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to just go up and speak to people, and then, you know, if I feel the conversation's dwindling, what I'm going to ask every person is, if there's one person in the room you think would be valuable for me to be introduced to, who would that be? And so that way then, people would introduce me to other people, and then I would sort of, I'm not an outsider. I have the sort of social proof of that person. And so yeah, that's what I did. Went around speaking to people. And then someone introduced me to this guy called Andy Davis. And Andy owned a marketing company in Exeter. And funny enough, was from the same town in Wales I was from. So he's from Tredegar. So we hit it off and he was looking to hire someone on a part-time basis. And so yeah, I started working for him. And that was good. That was sort of my way in. And then did that for a while, and unfortunately Andy ran into some financial issues, so he couldn't keep paying me. And then I thought, well, after that, I had such a, I experienced it, I wanted to keep doing it. So I thought, I might as well just start my own. So I started my own company, because I started doing something like video editing, and I thought there was a bit of a gap in the market in terms of I didn't see many companies doing sort of video marketing. And yeah, that's where I started from there.
No. And he's done a really good job with that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So it's been growing. I've learnt a lot. I feel there's, and this is like, especially where I am now, I feel there's this, I guess, romanticisation of like running a business and sort of that like entrepreneurial sort of bubble, people like with all side hustles and things like that. And what I think has been really good in is, I've actually experienced in reality like what it is like to go out to networking events and trying to create value yourself and create a business. And it's not just like working for a job, showing up like 9 to 5 and going home. It's the success on the success of that project or that business is entirely dependent on if you get up and do things. If I don't do anything, the business doesn't go anywhere. So that was really interesting, and I've learnt a lot of skills. So in terms of like business, I've become way more well-rounded than I would just being primarily just doing my marketing degree. My interpersonal skills have really, really developed, my networking skills, sales skills, things that I wouldn't really learn if I just did a sole marketing role. Been really, really grateful. But at the moment now, the plan is move back to Wales and then sort of re-establish in Wales, because everything I've been doing here is the southwest. So I've been quite lucky because it's been sort of I guess we would say like a learning ground, somewhere I can just go. I was lucky that I was well connected to the serial networkers. So I guess I had more of an easy time. So they introduced me to people and that. But now when I go back to Cardiff, that's, I guess, uncharted territory. So it'll be really interesting to see what connections I can build and see how that can develop alongside sort of the music. So I guess like my ultimate goal would be to create a business, I guess, and a marketing business that sort of revolves around the music industry. Like I would really like the idea of creating like an events company or just a space where I have this idea to sort of create a space where artists, especially up and coming artists, have a platform to sort of come on and just sort of tell their story and play like a live gig. So especially in South Wales, there's a lot of talented bands, and I think it's just nowadays it's just getting on the right channels. And I think in terms of the music industry, obviously for years it's been very mainstream. Like you have to get signed to a label, get on the big programs like BBC Introducing, which it still does work that way to an extent. But I feel there's a gap for the sort of new media to sort of come in, and I feel I could definitely do that. So it's a definite aspiration of mine and something I want to pursue.
How do you feel about going back home after being in Exeter for 3 years? I mean, for me, when I went home after I graduated, I sort of hated it, and it's not the people; it was more just the place. Because when you get this independence and you start thriving by yourself, you really build a sense of a character, of responsibility. But when you go back home, you find that the place around you isn't, I wouldn't say good enough, but there's not enough opportunity. How does that make you feel when you're going back home?
Well, I think it's different for me. I'm quite excited to go back home because I think, well, for me is I've been in a relationship for six years with my girlfriend, and that's been the hardest part of uni, is being away from her more than sort of the family. And so I view it as an opportunity where we just get to be together 24/7 again, which would be really good. And yeah, like in terms of where I'm from, there is limited opportunity, but I'm only a 40-minute journey from Cardiff, so it's the city's doing quite well. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in that respect. I've never really got integrated into Cardiff. I've always stayed in the sort of, I guess what you'd call the valleys, but that is a definite goal of mine, is to sort of really establish myself there. So it's quite nice because I think, yeah, I understand sort of the independence, but I do like having my friends, my family around, and it's a bit like a very, very, very different culture here in Exeter, because yeah, so I feel more at home back in Wales. So yeah, I'm really excited, and I think there's stuff to be done, and there's a lot of opportunity. It's just what you make of it, and I'm quite excited for that challenge.
It's about making the most of your environment, really, isn't it? I think for me, I'm very, very blessed that I get to use all this camera equipment and stuff, and it's quite funny. I tell people that I'm very grateful that not everyone else is thinking about this sort of thing. Like, I'm sure you're thinking about the marketing company, not that many people within your, group of people that on your course and stuff, and not all trying to do the same sort of thing, because it sort of gives, you sort of stand out from everyone else.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's the sort of my mantra for this year, is like, be brave and just don't really care what people think. Like posting videos on TikTok, like I never thought I'd be doing sort of sitting down and playing guitar on TikTok. I guess to most people that would be quite daunting, and it is, especially my first one. I was thinking about, I had recorded the video, I'd edited it, and I was thinking, oh, should I post it? And I just did. And yes, now it's a lot easier, and I know that through doing it, just posting all the time and just not caring what other people think, I'm just going to get more and more comfortable. And I'm quite lucky in the sense that a lot of my friends back home, we're all in the same sort of mindset in terms of social media. Like my one friend, like a lot of my friends, they are posting on TikTok. Like friends trying to make a gym, we trying to do a lot of gym content, and I have conversations with him, and it's just getting over those sort of self-imposed mental barriers, especially in the UK. In the UK, we don't tend to sort of celebrate things. it's just like, you know, the term like, oh, be realistic. And people in the UK would rather just see everyone just do mediocre, and no one try and, you know, go and do something or like dare to be great. So I guess it's just sort of coming out of that sort of mindset, and I guess that's who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with people who, you know, if you say, if you say to your friends, oh, I'm gonna start posting TikToks and doing this and that, and I want to create this and all these sort of positive things you want to sort of put into the world, and then they go, oh, why are you doing that for? What do you mean? Oh, people, there's no point doing that. Loads of people have done that. Like, why would people watch you? If you have people around you that are sort of permeating this negativity into your life, opposed to if you had a friend who said, oh, that's cool, oh, have you thought about doing this? Do you mean that builds, and you sort of, that's the sort of positive stuff that you want around you, opposed to like, yeah, someone who's trying to bring you down. And yeah, that, I think that makes a big difference. So I'm quite lucky in that regard to have, I guess, that positive sort of energy, and people who are quite forward thinking in regard to sort of the new media and the opportunities that are. So like social media, it's like a lottery ticket. You know, you have, with my music now, if I have one video that goes semi-viral, like that could completely change my life. So I think you've got to view it. And something I listened to in recently was quite interesting. People, you know, I don't know if how much you use TikTok or whatever, but people who have viral songs on TikTok or online, they've been posting for like a minimum of 18 months. So it is all about that consistency and just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And I think a lot of people, they'll post for a couple of months or weeks and then just give up. So that is something I'm really conscious of, and just keeping consistent. And yeah, you never know what's going to happen.
I like what you said a minute ago about, you know, surrounding yourself with good people. I mean, something that I've seen in myself, and maybe I think you've definitely seen yourself as well, like the last couple of years, of how you sort of outgrow people, like outgrow your old friends and stuff. And when you meet up and go for like coffee to catch up and something, you sometimes don't have anything in common to talk about. I mean, I had this sort of sensation in September. I saw a friend who I've not seen for a couple of years, and we used to be really close, like from secondary school all the way to college, and we literally sat down for 20 minutes and couldn't really think of anything to say, and I mean, that was it, you know. I'm sure you had the same sort of experience, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's I think a good marker of a friend is not who you call when things go, no, it's the people you can tell when things go right. For instance, like, I don't know if you've ever had this, where if you get a grade or something good happens to you, you know, there's, for me anyway, there's sort of this reluctance to sort of tell people, because there's a reluctance to tell people because you're thinking, oh, am I going to come across as if I'm bragging? Whereas, you know, if someone, you know, the people around you love you and support you, they're going to want to hear good things. If you've had a good grade, so that, like, you know, in terms of grades and stuff, I guess it's a bit different. Like, I'll tell my girlfriend and my parents. But yeah, it's a lot of people just, they don't, it's sad to see, because the way I view life is, you know, you just gotta, when I'm on my deathbed, like, would I regret trying to sort of pursue a career in music? Would I regret doing all these live performances, trying to do all these projects and ventures? Ultimately, I think it'd be no. I think I'd regret not trying to do it and not trying to make the most of it, especially in the climate we're in at the moment. I feel there's never been so many reduced barriers to entry like before, like things like the music industry, even things like, you know, like short films, video projects. It's become, anyone can do it. Anyone can create a YouTube channel, you know, post a video, and you never know what can happen. So I think, yeah, now's the time to sort of make the most of that.
I think one of my favourite artists at the moment, Zach Bryan.
Oh, I love Zach Bryan.
I'm pretty sure his career started through just posting YouTube videos when he was in the SEALs, right? Or not, I don't know if it's the SEALs or the Navy. Like, he'll literally just stick an iPhone on a tripod, play a bit of the guitar, and he's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I know he's one of the biggest country artists. Oh, that is. Did you see the Grammys the other day?
No.
Beyonce won Best Country Album, and I think that's an absolute travesty. Like, you know, like, Beyonce's great. You know, no shit at Beyonce, but I think that's absolutely ridiculous. How, you know, how she can win best. She not, you know, and I'm not, you know, and I'm someone who's against sort of genres and sort of categorizing people, but in terms of the country music, there's so much better country music. There's, you know, real authentic, you know, country music. So yeah, that annoyed me a bit when I saw that.
Do you think it's more political than it was actual talent itself?
And that's another thing. It's like, I think, you know, and there's no shade on people who do, you know, political music or whatever, because ultimately, you know, music's an expression of yourself, and when you express whatever you want, and if that be politics, whatever. But I just feel things like music and sport especially, I feel for me, they're ways to sort of escape, you know, everything in politics. Like, politics can be all-consuming, it's on the news all the time, and I feel these are little pockets to sort of escape all that stuff. And when you have, you know, people at the Grammys making grand sort of political speeches, as if they're sort of hand in hand with the everyman, as if they're not multi-million, they're not like millionaires who live in sort of, they are so like, they're not attached to reality. Like, they don't go down to Co-op and buy a pint of milk. Like, they don't do the sort of normal things that we do. They go around the country on private jets,
Making millions,
making money hand over fist, and like they've never had, I don't know, they don't have to worry about running out of toilet paper. Like little things like that is, and then when they try to come on and be like, oh, it's like Ricky Gervais says it the best, like, grab your award, go home, no one cares. Like that is this, I guess, the mentality. But then you never know, if I was nominated for a Grammy,
we're looking back at the video,
like, oh yeah, you know, like to thank everyone, and you know. But if I've done that, you know, I've sold my soul. So.
Sorry to cut you off, but there was when you were talking just now, it reminded me of the video that came out during COVID. Remember those? I think it was the actors and artists were singing all, like, it was a what was the song? All the People sort of thing. Have you seen it?
What was it like? Yeah, I vaguely remember. It's like, you know, what was it? What was it about? Was it like wearing masks or something? I don't know.
It was like people. It was like saying that we're all in it together, sort of thing, and we know how you feel when they're in their mansion and stuff, and they're like, they wouldn't know exactly what the common person's going through, especially during COVID as well.
Yeah, and that's what, like, I come from a very working class background, and you know, and this is a thing I think people. I have no problem with people being filthy rich. I have no problem, like, making money. It's fine. It's when people try to, like, and this is a thing I notice a lot in Exeter, and a thing that really annoys me. People try to play down, like, they try to make it out like they're working class, and they're like, oh yeah, bro, I'm skint, I've no money. And then when their parents are sending them like £1,000 a month, like, oh yeah, bro, I'm really skint right now, they're so expensive. I'm like, yeah, right, you're walking around like Ed the Tower and Ralphie, and like, do you know what I mean? It's just, I'm looking at them, I'm like, oh, you are from a different planet. You have no idea of like what you're saying right now. And it's just laughable, and like, yeah, people, they hate the fact that they come from, you know, they've gone to private school. Like, if you've gone to private school, fair enough. Like, your parents have paid for a good education, own it. But it's like this sort of, you know, trying to play down what class you are. Like, well, where are you from? Oh, yeah, like London, yeah. And they're like from Surrey. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, yeah, like, oh, yeah, just like.
I do single chap.
yeah, no, chaps, no, literally. Like, honestly, I'm not taking the piss out of anyone who speaks like that.
We're both sitting here laughing.
Yeah,
but 20 years' time, we're going to have kids who are going to be exactly the same.
Yeah, no.
Hopefully not.
Well, I think it'd have to be a miracle for my kids to have an English accent, especially how thick my accent is. But no, that's something. Like, do you mean if you're breaded, you're breaded? Like, do you mean just don't try and pretend like you're something you're not? And I think that's a big thing. Is like, be authentic to yourself. And I feel that university sort of, I guess, engineers you to behave in a way that, you know,
you sort of just fit in with the crowd.
Yeah, you're trying to fit in and trying to just be someone you're not, and I think that's why I've just always been unapologetically myself. So, you know, if you like it, you know, I could be a bit Marmite. You know, you either like it or you don't. And I think, yeah, I guess that's why I've always found, like, they're quite hard to relate to people from here, because it is such a stark difference. Like, like living up, like where I'm from, Blaenau Gwent is like the 5th least educated place in the UK. Ebbw Vale, the town next to me, is like think it's like the most obese town in the UK. No, generally, Carl. Do you know Carl Freezy? Have you heard of the YouTuber Carl?
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to Ebervale and did a YouTube video like that, going around the most obese town in the UK, and it's just I'm like, oh, fair enough. But that's the thing, it's just a completely different way of life, completely different. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just when, people just try and pretend there's something that they're not, and I think that's always a bit dangerous.
Yeah, do you know what? I definitely agree with you on the wealth and just accepting the fact that you've come from that sort of thing. I mean, initially, actually, when I came to uni, I come from the same background, similar background to you, and you feel out of place, and for me, I felt a bit insecure at times, knowing that I've not had the same opportunities or I'm not as educated as the other people around me. But I've actually come to look at it and be like, do you know what? I would like my kid to grow up like that, to grow up with the best education possible, sort of thing, and to see how they are. I mean, you definitely get some of them that are just absolute twats and have, I think my a story that my friend told me. He studied politics, and one of the first things that someone ever said to him was, "How many yachts does your daddy own?" And it's like,
oh mate, tell me. The worst one I've heard, which made my skin crawl, was like, chaps, have we got a lecky after this? Have we got another lecky after this? I'm like, oh my god. It's like, and it is a bit, and it's like, I remember I was in a pub and I was listening to, he's like, yeah, I was like, my uncle's a professor at Oxford. Yeah, he's a professor at Oxford. And it's all good stuff. Or like, I remember he was like, I think Daddy's going to get me a role at JP Morgan. He's like, yeah, Daddy's high up in JP Morgan, so I'm just going to go do my internship there. And it's like, it is just mind-boggling. But also, I guess another thing is, geographically, listen, because the mic's going to move. Geographically, like a lot of, I guess these people are in close proximity to sort of London, and I don't think people realise how much of a blessing that is. In terms of things like grad schemes and internships, like when I was looking, everything is dominated by London, and I've had a little apply for things around me, but yeah, it is, and to live in London, like, I know everyone universally knows it's hard, but if you're sort of in the proximity, it makes life a bit manageable. But for me, I wouldn't physically be able to go live in London and do any internship in London. It's like, I wouldn't be able to afford anyway. It's
actually quite like a scam in some of these schemes and stuff. Like they offer you a wage of like 24,000 a year, and some rent prices that I've seen, some of the cheapest are like over 1,000, 1,100 or something like that, not including bills. And it doesn't take into what your travel to work, if you're there, bus or anything, food, you got utilities, and how you supposed to have fun, sort of thing, that sort of thing. It's terrible. And what you said there is perfect. If you have a family, if your parents and stuff, and you have a home in London, make the most of that. Oh my goodness.
Like, I know people who's, my parents, I think they're gonna buy a flat for me in London. Like, people buying flats in London, or like, I think my parents are going to buy a flat there so we can just go there and chill. And I'm just like, oh, that's actually nuts. Like, around me, like, if what you could get in London, so how much would, like, what the mic's attacking me? It must be a London fan. This mic must be from London. So how much would you say a house is? No, a flat is in London. Like not rent wise, like price to buy.
To buy, well, I'm going to be a bit ambitious and say it's about 500,000, something like that.
Do you know how much do you reckon you could get a 3-bed house from?
Oh, over $1 million, surely. It's got to be something like extortionate like that.
So how much do you reckon you could, around where I live now, how much do you reckon? My brother's just bought a 3-bedroom house where I live.
Wales, so it's like, what, 75,000? A bit more?
Yeah, a bit. Well, no, you could do, but that'd be more to rent out. I say it's probably about, for a 3-bedroom house, decent house, probably be around like 120 to 150,000. And that's like the difference. Like, for 500,000 you get a mansion. Like, you get a really nice house around where I live, and you're not far from Cardiff. So that's what I view it. Like, a lot of people, especially our generation, it's like, oh, it's impossible to get on the housing ladder. I'm thinking, well, it's just you're looking in the wrong places. Like, you're trying to get houses in London or up, in and around those sort of areas. Around me, like, I have no worries. Like I could get an house, comfortably in the next 2 years, 2 years. Well, the plan is, I want to get an house to sort of rent out. That's what a big thing I do is like property investing. So my brother. My brother does property investing, so he's sort of laid the foundations, and he's on his second house at the minute. So he's got his first house he rents out, and his second house that he lives in. So that's a big plan for me, and sort of from a business avenue, it's always good to sort of diversify your revenue streams and buy assets, and that's a big thing. I learned was that the definition of an asset. So like in your normal business textbook, they'll say an asset can be anything. So say if we were I guess a company right now, these are technically assets, the cameras, the lights, the mics. But an asset, the actual definition that I sort of agree with is an asset is anything that provides you positive cash flow. So that would be, so most people say when they buy a house and get a mortgage on a house, that's an asset. It's really not, because it's your biggest liability. You're not making any money, you're losing money on it. So an asset would be obviously buying a house and renting it out, because every month that's providing you positive cash flow. The best asset is royalties. And this is why the music industry is one of the best. Well, it's not the best to go, but if it goes well, it's the best, because you create unlimited assets. A song is an asset because you put it on and you get royalties on that song. Obviously, if it gets played on the radio or whatever. But that's something I learned. It was a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Robert Kiyosaki.
I think he's currently in like $1.2 million in debt, but something like that. But it's like, yeah. But you can still write the book and it'd be useful, and maybe no.
And you just don't have that. Yeah, I think on the thing of books and educating yourself with these types of things that really make you understand that the education that you get from university or sometimes school just never really prepares you for life. I think Kiyosaki's book is pretty good, in terms of understanding your income and what you're spending money on. I mean, you got to really assess your finances and see how much you're paying, like nights out and stuff, or smoking or drinking, and realizing that actually, if you sort of cater for these and don't invest too much into these negative habits and stuff, you actually save a lot of money in the long run. I mean, even just living cheaply is something that I've found in the last couple of years has helped me a lot get through uni. I mean, I have an old iPhone 6 Plus. I mean, that thing's eventually going to expire, because you have the iOS updates, and eventually all the apps that I want to use, require an iOS that I can't get to. But for me, I spend about £8 a month, £8 a month even, on just a SIM card, and that has me done every month sort of thing. And whether it's I don't drink or don't smoke and don't gamble, I try my best to have a healthy diet. I think that's probably my biggest.
Yeah, spend a lot of money on the protein and stuff.
Yeah, my biggest vice is probably sometimes I eat a bit too much sweet stuff, but I still eat majority healthy. Sometimes it's just a bit of a binge.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's the thing. It's like, for me, I always buy, if I buy a phone, I've got iPhone 13 Pro Max, but again, that's a second-hand phone. I bought that off Music Magpie, and I usually get that for my birthday or something. And I've always been a proponent of buying your phone outright. I've never been a thing of getting a phone on a contract. And again, I pay £10 a month for my contract.
Well, you use your phone for your business, don't you?
Yeah, I use, but I haven't got that through the. But yeah, I use it, and it's really, really handy to have a phone like that. But yeah, in those sort of other things, one of the things I found coming to Exeter is I've never met so many people who shop in Waitrose and M&S. Like, I'd never met anyone who really shop. Like, I think there's in Wales, I might be getting this wrong, I think there's 3 M&S's in the entirety of Wales, because no one shops it. Like, I've always shopped at Lidl. Like, usually what you do is you have a Lidl, you shop at Lidl, and then you've got a bigger one. So for me, that's Asda. So you have Lidl and Asda. So you go to Lidl for most of the stuff, and the stuff they haven't got at Lidl, you go to Asda for. But yeah, I've been in conversations with people I just couldn't eat the chicken and veg from Lidl. It's just really not
organic, bro.
It's not that good quality. It's really bad. Actually, really bad. And for value for money, I don't mind paying a little bit more for food from Waitrose and M&S, because it is worth it. I'm there thinking oh boy,
you did it really well. I couldn't tell you're Welsh. When you do that, you do a really good posh accent.
Yeah, so I've had a lot of practice listening to it, to be fair. But no, I'm pretty good at it. Do you know, accents is something I've always loved to do. I've just always Like I remember from a little kid, I used to do like American accents, and I guess it's because I've always loved like pop culture and watching stuff, and I guess like I'm trying to fight with a mic by you because it's literally coming down.
Let me help it.
Might have to take 5 minutes. Oh, there we are. Right, if I put it. That's a lot more smooth than that one.
Yeah.
There we are. Right.
Oh man, that's a highlight for me.
Yeah,
I'm not taking that out.
Right, yeah, there we are.
Well, you keep going. I need to quickly check the camera. Just make sure you're all right.
I've always done sort of accents and stuff, and yeah, in terms of like pop culture, like I've always loved, like I guess it might be a generational thing, but I feel, I don't know, me personally, I've always been, I guess, very I always loved American pop culture. Like I grew up on watching like Disney Channel and things like that, and so I always had this idea like, yeah, I'm gonna live in America, man. Just, do you know what I mean? Like after the uni, like I thought, like before coming to uni, I thought, oh, I can live anywhere in the world, I'll be fine. Do you know? I thought, oh no, I won't get homesick. I don't need to go home. I've grown. Do you mean? I've grown out my shell. I can do whatever. I'm gonna go, explore the world. Came down to 2.5 hours to the southwest. I never had the worst homesickness. I'm like, I want to come home. So that really sort of put me in my place. Like, oh, actually, buddy, you might be a bit of a home bird more than you thought, which I definitely am. That's what I've realised.
One thing that I've come to love when I come to Exeter is having French friends and taking a piss out of them because they're French.
Oh,
We did a beach social last year, and it was like half of us was French and half of us were English. And we're like, fuck the French, fuck the English.
Honestly, I think of Loon. He's the most French. He's like, Louis. He's like, how are you doing, bro? Yeah, how are you doing, bro? It's like the most French person I've ever met. So yeah. He's great. And I was like, oh, he's like, show me what cheeses he has, what wines. I like the French, apart from the unluckily that the fact that they are French.
Yeah, they can't help it though.
They can't help it. It's not.
It's a bit of a pity, isn't it? Really?
It's a bit of a pity, really. But
have you been to France?
I've only been. I've been to Disneyland Paris, but I was like really young, so I don't think I can really count that as going to France. Like I've never gone and explored. I definitely want to do more travelling. I've been lucky that I have gone abroad since I was like a little child. I've gone sort of Europe, sort of like Spain mostly, because Spain's like the cheapest.
And it's just
do you mean
brilliant.
Like everyone goes Spain loves? Do you mean I used to love it? I used to go all inclusive, and I used to eat as much as I humanly could. Like I remember when I was a little kid, and they had like these little like ice creams, and like. Do you know like the milk ones? They used to have like milk, chocolate, strawberry, and they're like sort of rounded.
It's like did it have like a waffle on the end of it? Or am I just thinking?
No, it's just like, I guess, a really cheap ice cream. And I remember as a little kid, my dad would go, eat as much as you can, and that's what I would do. I'd go in, and I'd have loads. And like you wake and for breakfast you would have like chocolate pancakes for breakfast, with loads of stuff. But obviously, as I got older, I stopped doing that as much.
Yeah, you don't want to get diabetes, do you?
No, I don't want to get diabetes, but I do enjoy my food. But no, yeah. So I've gone like Portugal. That was really nice. Recently, last holiday I went to Amsterdam. That was really nice. Like sort of, I've never really been to many cities like that. Like I think I've been to Krakow, which I'm going again now in April. But I've been to Krakow and sort of Amsterdam, which were quite European cities, and I really really like that. Definitely want to go to Italy. I want to go to France. I want to go like Austria. I want to go like Vienna, Berlin, Germany. Really, really want to go to all these places. So my hope is when I go to these places, I can be touring. That's the dream. Imagine like going out and touring around Europe. That's what I'd love. Like, me and my girlfriend touring around Europe would be the dream.
It's a shame you're not Irish, because they do a thing called Tradfest that I got lucky to sort of walk in on, and this is local artists playing in pubs and stuff within Ireland, and they advertise it, and people come in and watch it, and they play they film them and stuff, and it's actually really good. This is local music sort of thing, and the music that they're singing is mostly created by themselves, but they do some fantastic covers of songs.
So this is the thing. This is like stuff like that. Like, right, well, why can't I just do that in Wales? Like I think there's so many good artists in Wales. Like one shout out to this artist called Boyo. Now. Boyo is one of the most creative people around where I live. and yeah, he's done a podcast. Have you ever watched? Have you ever heard of Dirty Sanchez?
No.
So it's sort of like what they call it? It's like you heard of Jackass?
Yeah, yeah.
So this like Jackass, but the UK version. I didn't know it was a thing, but this guy on there called Dayton Lee, and he does a podcast with Boyo, and yeah, that's like that was when I came back home because I recorded a song with my band, and cause they have the studio there in a place called Blaina, and I was speaking there, and it was just I haven't realised that there's this sort of like creative little community where I am, and so I feel I want to sort of shine a torch on that, and sort of, especially in South Wales, just if I could be a show which, you know, if you're starting a band in Wales, and what I want it to be, well, my idea is, if you're starting a band in Wales, you want to be, I want to get on that show, I want to get on there, have an interview, maybe play a live set, and then I'd like to do something more like gigs, sort of like, you know, if you're part of that, then you can come to a gig and have just loads of live bands as well as sort of me playing myself. I think that's something I definitely want to go into, because I just think, you know, if there's not all the opportunities around you, create the opportunities. And there was always like a mindset growing up, like, you know, get out of the valleys. That's the sort of maxim you would hear, you know, everywhere. You know, get a good education, go to university, get out. You know, there's no opportunity here.
Get a mortgage, get married.
Yeah. But my sort of, you know, I was always of that belief. Like I was, you know, I'm gonna go to America, I'm gonna go to all these places. You know, I know I ain't gonna live in Wales, not gonna live in Wales. But then coming away, I realised like, oh, you know, the grass ain't always greener. Like home, it will always be home. And I feel this, you know, as someone who, if you want it to be better, you've got to sort of do it yourself. You've got to make it better yourself. So I feel I can do that, and that's my goal. And see what I can. See, I want to have see if I can have a big impact on Welsh music and UK music in general. So that's my plan. But you know, see how it goes.
Well, you know, you came to me really with an idea. You helped me with the idea of the expression sessions, things that I wanted to try and film in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully. That would be quite fun to do something more like that. You know.
But definitely. That's what I want to do. And like, you know, project music. It's your fault. You know, I was going to do a performance today. I was going to do my own song. I was going to do "Knocking on Heaven's Door" by Bob Dylan.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to do. I'm in a bit of a Dylan phase at the minute.
Did you watch the film?
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it? It's a very good film.
I watched the film, and as soon as I came up, I was like, I need sunglasses. I need
a harmonica.
Yeah, I need like, "What's up, babe?" like. I was like, oh, this is amazing, and I love watching. I've always been, and I don't know if it's just me, but I've always been someone who's, you know, if I've got to watch a film, I'm really deeply inspired by a film, like little things. Like I remember watching Kung Fu Panda as a kid, and I was like, oh my god, I want to do Kung Fu so bad. I want to do karate, and I'd be like, on Rocky. That was a big one. I used to watch Rocky continuously. I used to have a punching bag in my room, like a Bob. Have you ever seen them Bob punching bags?
It's like a
it's
dude.
Like a dude.
Like
and it's like a salmon pail.
And you just punch him and it comes back up.
I'd be watching Rocky as like a 6-7-year-old, just absolutely lamping this Bob, and I used to love it. So yeah, films have always found a really big inspiration. Like at the minute, oh my god. And obviously I'm not as like tech in terms of filmmaking as you. I'm watching Severance. Have you seen Severance?
Is it a film or a series?
A series on Apple TV.
I've heard it's good. I've not seen it.
It's directed by Ben Stiller and Adam Scott.
Right.
Oh my days, it's unreal. Obviously a lot of TV and programs nowadays. You know, there's a lot of things rinse and repeat. I've never seen this concept ever before, and it's amazing. It's really, really good. It's one of them. It's like a dystopian sci-fi, and it's really good. Like I highly recommend it. And so just I think I love pop culture. I love films. I love music. I love it all. I'm trying to keep I guess my finger on the cultural pulse. Which is fun.
Well, it's art, isn't it, in general, isn't it? You know, like you said earlier, it's an expression of yourself, and I think that's when music becomes better or films become better, because it's not done in a way that's just for commercial. It's actually they've done it from their heart, sort of thing.
Yeah, like for me, I find like songwriting is my vehicle of expression. If there's, if I've gone through like difficult things or things that I, wouldn't be able to sort of articulate in terms of a conversation, or issues that I don't really want to sort of face, but music is my way of, of expressing that and releasing that emotion, whatever that emotion be, whether that be pain, love, heartache. It's my vehicle for that emotion. So that's why I love it, and that's why so my acoustic guitar broke. I didn't know what to do. I felt like my hand had been cut off. So I left. So I went back for over Christmas. I took my electric guitar and my amp back home. And then I got my acoustic guitar, and I just brought that back up. So when I brought my acoustic guitar, I had no guitar. I literally rang my brother. I said, because he Monday to Friday works in Plymouth. So I said you're gonna have to bring my guitar. So when he went back home, he brought my electric guitar up with me for me, but he didn't bring my amp because obviously it was just a bit too big, and he had to come back on the train. No, so he literally had to come up on the train. So he was going on the train to Plymouth. So I had to intercept him at St David's. So I was there, and as the train came off, he came off and gave me my guitar. So I've had my electric guitar, but without an amp, it's just, you can't really do anything because it's so quiet. So yeah, I felt like I haven't been able to. Like, when I had my acoustic guitar, like I felt I was in a real groove. I was writing so many good songs, and yeah, just in a sort of a moment. And then it broke, and I was like, oh, it's annoying. It was just frustrating. But that's definitely, as soon as I get it back now, I'm going to start putting together a set list. It's a few covers, but more like originals, and then, yeah, just see what I can do. And the marketing, that's why I'm more excited, because I feel, because it's I've been in a band, and I am in a band. The issue you have with a band is, you're so reliant on other people, and everyone's doing all different other things. But from when I'm just with me, I have full creative control, and it's just reliant on me. So if I want to create all these cool videos, which I think I can, especially promoting songs, I'm not reliant on anyone else. It's just all me, and I think that's what and that's what I like to do the best. Is just I can't stand relying on people, because people are just so just. They can be
unpredictable.
Yeah,
they don't stay up to their word, sort of thing.
Don't show up, or late, anything like that, and it's just like.
Well, we both say that, and we're both late today, weren't we?
Yeah. Well, good thing you were late. I was like, I was walking. I was like, I could do with another. This is my second coffee of the day. I was like, what I could do with another coffee? He was like, oh, it'd be 15 minutes. I said, great. Go to Starbucks, grab one. So things they work out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Just being able to just do something that it is scary, and it is scary, but I feel if you haven't got that bit of nerves or excitement, then it's not the right thing. So I think those are signs that you're doing something worthwhile, and it shows that you care and give a shit about what you're doing. Yeah, definitely. Like I went to Bomber on Thursday and watched sort of shout out to the Vive, awesome, really awesome band. I watched it, I was like, oh my god. Like whenever I've gone to concerts, and this is why I feel like I need to do it. I've always thought I want to be there. I've never just been happy being in the crowd. I've always been, I want to be on stage. I want to be performing. I want to be playing music.
Man, you say all this. We literally had our song contest last night. If only I knew sooner. Exactly. I should have asked, man. I should have.
It should be. I could have done it for.
You'd have had such a great time last night. Honestly, it was so good.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Obviously, you're here for. Obviously, I know. I guess. So you won't be doing that next year, would you?
I'm not 100% certain. I mean, part of me wants to retire from it because the team that I worked with became such a big family, and when you move on from it, it just doesn't feel right. Like if I was to do it again next year, it wouldn't be with the same people. It'd be different people, and I'd be like, I don't know if my heart would be in it. It's like. You have to. I feel like for me, I have to have my heart in it to do it sometimes. And sometimes, you got to do stuff that you don't want to do for the portfolio or to develop your skills and stuff. That's understandable. But the things like that.
Yeah, especially a passion project. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. So it'll be, and this is what I've enjoyed coming to university. The big thing about university is the people I've met, like yourself. Whereas, you know, I guess we're both, artistically inclined in that way, in terms of like, obviously you with the sort of video production stuff, and which has been really good for me to learn, because I'm still obviously learning all this stuff. But you wouldn't really find that as much at home. Like, don't get me wrong, there are people around who do great stuff, and that's, I want to build closer relationships with people like that. But, in university, there are people like you, John. It's been really good to sort of just be there and just be to learn as much as I can. Like, this whole setup is really, really cool. And just knowing what is needed to do something to this effect. So, like, if I was to do something, I know I need to get this camera, this lens, I don't know, whatever, the mic.
The mic arm that keeps attacking you.
Yeah. So I would definitely get a different mic arm. But, yeah. So in terms of, like, you're talking about, like, cultural stuff, do you use social media much?
So do you know what? My mind has changed on social media. I used to be very like against it, sort of thing. I use it as a tool to market this. I have an Instagram and a YouTube, and I literally, what I do is I post on Instagram if I've done an episode or something creative, and then that's it. I'm not allowed. I'm quite strict with it, because I know when I was younger I used to use it so much, and how much it made me feel so shit about myself. So what I do is I don't follow anyone, and I only go on it to post. So when I go on it, I post, and that's it.
Post and ghost.
Post and ghost, exactly, man. That's literally what it is.
What was the Instagram, so people know?
Thomas Swanza.
Thomas Swanza.
Yeah.
Let's put a little link in. Yeah, I think. Do you know what? I do love the internet. I really do, and it's just a wild old place. Like, I don't know how much you've seen. Have you seen what Kanye's recent mental breakdown on X?
No, the last thing I saw of Kanye West was the when he went Alex Jones's thing of like a fucking snood on whatever. Have you seen it? Like, he's like in a morph suit.
Yeah.
And you fucked up. You said something controversial when you've made Alex Jones.
Alex Jones is like, Alex Jones is, you want to see stuff he's been posting on X. And but did you see what he, is? Do you see him going up to the Grammys with his wife?
What, really?
No, Kanye with his wife was like to the Grammys.
What was it like?
She was basically naked. Oh my God, you haven't seen this?
No, man. I'm a bit of a fossil sometimes as well.
Right. Oh my God. Right.
You left your phone outside. Shit.
Should you want to
Because I'll put the picture in the on the podcast episode.
You have to blur it. You're gonna have to blur it. Like, seriously, like, isn't that?
We'll be back in a minute, folks.
It's actually the most insane thing ever. Kanye is, like, I've never really been into that music. Kanye. Right, look at this. Right.
What the fuck?
How nuts is that? How nuts is that? She's like...
She's basically naked.
Basic. Isn't that the most crazy thing you've ever seen?
Isn't that not illegal? Isn't that not public
don't
indecency
know.
or some shit? What the hell?
Yeah, right. Okay, and then, so, we saw that. Yeah, that's fried. You want to see what he's been posting on X? Oh,
Please, go on.
Right, okay. Again, people, this is not my words. This is Kanye West. So I'll just have a look what he's done. Let's have a look. Right, what was the last thing? Oh God. It's okay. Let me just look at. Let's have a look. I'm just trying to find one that's not gonna get us to. Okay. So this is what he says. This is not me. He went, call me Adolf Hitler, and your bitch still wants to fuck. Says Hitler was so fresh. This is all things he's posting. I'm gonna normalise talking about Hitler the way they talking about killing N-words has been normalised. It's like, I'm like, oh my God.
That guy is deranged, man.
Like, absolutely awful. He's absolutely. I'm there, and I was I was looking, I was like, what? I was just like, insane. Like, we talk about celebrities being out of like, phew, like, I was there and I was like, what? This,
Well, it's out of touch and it's just absolute wacko.
he's absolute, like, he must be off his medication or something, because that is, I saw that and my jaw dropped. It's like, how can you be saying these things online? Like,
Do you think it's the effect of being able to just do it behind a phone and not get any consequences, sort of thing?
I don't know, man. Have you seen have you seen his interviews? Like, I just think he does not give a fuck. I just think he literally doesn't care, and yeah, he has some more than questionable opinions. Put it that way. Like, it's absolutely, like, I'm just saying, I've never been really into rap music, so like I've never really listened to Kanye. Like, I probably have listened to Kanye songs on the radio, but like, I've never been someone who's sort of into that sort of stuff. My sort of my journey into music, I can remember it distinctively. So the first band, I didn't start listening to music since I was like in year 6. I didn't, really discover it as a thing. But I remember we were driving down to Pembrokeshire, and I was listening to, it was like a friend of the family showed me Linkin Park. Have you heard of Linkin Park? And it was
Very good.
It was Bleeding Out song, and I was like, what is this? I was like, I've never heard this. And, like, dude, and the guitar, I was like, oh, this is great. And then I started getting sort of more into rock, so I listened to The Offspring, and then the thing that was like, oh, I need to play guitar, like I need to, is when my friend shouted to Jamie Harris. He showed me Nirvana. When I listened to Nirvana for the first time, I was like, whoa, this is, especially like I was 12, 13 at the time, so going into sort of that sort of teenage phase, and I was like, oh my god, this speaks to me in a way that nothing else has ever spoken to me. So it's funny because my granddad, he's played like classical guitar, so it's very like fingerstyle guitar, and I started learning a little bit, but I never really got into it. Didn't really drive. I started listening to Nirvana. I was like, that's all I want to do is play music. So I was on YouTube just teaching myself songs. My friend Jamie was a really good guitarist, been playing for years, taught me. And I was like, oh, I want to go in a band, I want to play in a band. And that's when I started, got my first electric. And then, yeah, that's where it started. But Nirvana, yeah, special place in my heart. Like, my favourite band of all time. Definitely. Like, I just love everything about their music, and just the lyricism, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing.
Have you ever heard Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt? That for what you have now, that feeling of holy shit, this is like amazing. That was me when I heard Johnny Cash's Hurt and how much that hits. Yeah,
and the fact that he's like, at the end of his life, and it's just like you can feel, and this is where I think like good music is like when you is that you create that emotion and that relatability through the lyrics, and that's why I feel like some music can be a bit soulless, like you're just saying the words that sound right, or you think that are going to sound right in the moment.
Modern music, basically, sometimes.
Yeah, modern, and like some songs, they get played on the radio, I just don't understand it. There's no meaning behind the words. They're just there because that is what, it's like ChatGPT. It's like, do you know what I mean? They're just saying, the ChatGPT is saying what you think there's going to be the next word that makes the most logical sense. Opposed to something that's a bit more raw and a bit more comes from the heart, and actually a place of like real emotion. And yeah, I think that's the sort of music I sort of really listen to. I think at the minute I'm going through a phase of obviously Bob Dylan, Billy Joel. I love Billy Joel. Like Piano Man,
Vienna. Yeah, Vienna's a good one.
So Piano Man, it's a great song. Obviously Dylan, Pink Floyd, listen to a lot of Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I tell you what though, music is, like, especially when you really get a connection for something. It's when you really find a good artist. I mean, for me, you mentioned Zach Bryan. I mean, I was going for a bit of a breakup at when I first heard him, and I was like, oh, this shit is amazing. And then I've sort of binged on him, and I'm very fortunate. I get to see him. He's coming to Hyde Park in June. So I was listening to one of his songs over Christmas, and like YouTube does this thing where it links like a concert. And I was like, fucking hell, no way is he actually coming to London. I was like, book that ticket ASAP. And then for me, I'm absolutely gassed to get to see that sort of thing.
If you'd have told me, well, I can do something in the Orange. That's one of my. I can play that. Like I'll do a cover of something in the Orange. It's that's one I listened to. I was like, oh, this is great. I know it's one of his famous ones, but like that's
such a good song.
Such a good song, and
I Remember Everything as well. Have you heard that one?
Yeah, and Going South.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Heading South. Yeah. So there's just so much. Again, there's so much good music. Yeah, I guess and that's the thing. It's like with country music, like Jack Bryan's a real country, musician. I'll tell you who's another good one.
Noah Khan, I think that's
Noah Khan. He's good. But there's Colt. Oh, what's his name? I forget his name. Is that Colt or something? I think.
Little research.
Little research. Pull it up, Jamie.
Yeah. If only I had my own Jamie.
Colt the Wall. Have you heard of Colt the Wall?
No.
So he is this, like, he epitomises country music. Like, he's a ranch hand, works on a ranch, just writes music. And, like the biggest, like, he is really big into sort of country music, but, like, lives the life. And has turned down interviews. Like, Joe Rogan has tried to get him on the podcast, and he just won't go.
Damn.
He just works on the ranch, writes his music, that's it, really plays live. Like, lives that country life, which... Just quite good, like Willie Nelson.
I've heard that name. I need to listen to that.
So like country, like my biggest memory of country is, was it the first? I might be 14. My friend Gethin got me into country, and we were camping. So we were rough camping. So we didn't have a tent. It was in the summer, and we all went up the mountain, had a fire, had our sleeping bag, and we were there, and we had the fire. Had the fire going. This is like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We were on sort of a bank, and we were all just in our sleeping bags, no tent, and we were just there listening to country music. I remember listening to Willie Nelson, just looking up at the stars, and that was a real good moment. And I remember just being around the fire, and so when and if no one has ever experienced it, when you sort of start in that, the best feeling, right, is when you first start a band, because there's that excitement. It's like any new project. When you do something new, there's that excitement. It's all fresh, it's new. So we were there and we were talking about like, all the things, and what we're going to do, performing, are we going to play, we're all writing new songs, it's all new, fresh. And that was around that time, and I remember listening to that music, and when you're that young, there's, I guess, that feeling of anything's possible, you can do anything. And I feel sometimes you lose that. So that's why I'm always trying to, like, hold on to, is that feeling of, giddiness. That's what I guess, it's something that's innately, like, childlike, where you're just so passionate and about something, and you got that sort of, that lust for life, and, wanting to do all these new exciting things. And so, yeah, that memory always brings me back to that sort of place.
That's beautiful, man. Yeah, it's nice.
So, but, so it's going well. Like, I think third year is
oh yeah, your final year.
Final year. So my approach, I just slow down a bit. I think in third year, obviously second year I was just doing like loads with the business and stuff, because I'm moving back to Cardiff. I'm moving back home and gonna start the business in Cardiff. There's no point really going to the networking events or doing anything like that here. So that means I can just really focus on just writing music and just doing well in university, go to lectures and stuff. So yeah, that's where I am at the minute.
What would you have told yourself? I know there's always a question people always ask others from experience and stuff. Is like, into your last couple of months of uni. What would you tell yourself if you were starting again in first year?
If I was starting again in first year, I would say probably like, I guess it depends, because it depends if I have my business cap on or I have my sort of my musician cap on. yes, if I have my business cap on, and again, ultimately, regardless of the answer, like I don't regret anything I've done in uni. I think I've done it well. But I think if I had a business cap on, I'd say go to more networking events sooner. Maybe join some society sooner. Do a few more programs sooner, like things like the sort of entrepreneur. What's it called?
Is it like alumni sort of stuff?
Yeah, it's like, what's it called? It's like the entrepreneurial sort of workshop, and you can earn, like, you win win £500 if you pitch and do pitching competitions. So I did that in my second year. So if I'd done that in my first year, that'd have been better. But yeah, just I don't know. I think I did, like, I've never been really one to go out and do much clubbing and stuff. Like, it's never appealed to me. So I didn't really do that. And then by proxy, never really got established into any friendship groups, because, you to like on Freshers Week or like around that sort of time, it's either if you're going out all the time, you're around like a certain group of people, and then they build up that friendship group. Whereas I've always been, to an extent, like an outsider in that way. Like I have everyone in, like, I have good friends with people, speaking to people in the people in the groups, and I always go to things, always get invited to things, go to parties and stuff. But I've never been sort of really deeply ingrained, and I think that might just be because when I've come into uni with a relationship, so I guess I've always just weren't really there's for me, and I might be wrong, there's only 3 reasons to go clubbing if you're a man. 1 is because you like the music, which I don't. 2 is to go on the pole, which I wasn't going to do because I'm in a relationship. And then 3rd is if you're really, really fucked up. If you're really drunk or whatever. I didn't really, don't really do that. So the 3 boxes that you need to go clubbing, I didn't fit into any of them. So I just didn't. So I haven't really gone. I got the TP once in my entire time of being in uni. Beat the TP once, which I don't regret, because I just don't like clubbing. I like going to a pub. I enjoy doing that, or going to a gig, or doing that. Like, I was in, a couple of months ago, I was in Bristol, because my girlfriend's in Bristol. We went to watch stand-up comedy. Like, I love doing, I'd rather do things like that, like going to see an event, whether that be live music, live stand-up comedy. That's the things I enjoy doing more, opposed to, like, clubbing, or what have you. But what about yourself? How was you sort of mediated that?
I mean, for me, it'd just be, my only advice would be know that the formula equipment is there. Become obsessed with learning it more, really, because I'm not going to lie, actually. You actually inspired me a little bit to learn more about this stuff, do you remember when you came to me last year in the XTV office? It was me, my girlfriend at the time, she was doing some work, and you came in asking questions about the camera and stuff. I'm not gonna lie, bro, I had no idea what the fuck I was talking about. You were sitting there showing me like all your resolution and stuff in your phone. I was thinking, bro, I have no fucking idea. So I was like, do you know what? I need to learn this shit, because it's very important, that sort of stuff. If I want to do some more creative stuff and build a portfolio, I need to become obsessed with learning these sort of details and stuff. And then, I sort of took that experience. I was like, do you know what? Let's learn more from it. And yeah, I think if I was to go back into first year, I would definitely have picked up more of the cameras and learned more about it, and probably do more independent or portfolio stuff like this podcast. I love doing it,
Yeah.
I know it's not going to be like, you probably get like 1 or 2 views and that's about it. But at the end of the day, man, I'm enjoying it, and it's pushing myself to get in front of a camera sort of thing and do that public speaking sort of thing, or public speaking to an extent sort of experience, because that's something that I used to always try to avoid when I was younger. But yeah, similar to you, not really had massive regrets or any regrets at all, because you just can't sit there and beat yourself up for what you've done, have you? Can you?
Yeah, like one of the best things I did was in my first year was and I've always wanted to do it as someone who's a lover of combat sports, is have a fight. Like, I had a Muay Thai fight in Unit 1, was shut down now, but that was my crowning moment. That was, I trained for months, and yeah, I've done sort of Muay Thai since, like, say year 9, year 10. Always been into sort of combat sports, doing boxing or whatever. So I came up here, joined the society. I knew that's like the first thing I wanted to do, was join the society. I joined the society, and I was training all the time. Like, we'd have Monday session, sparring on Wednesdays, Friday session and a Sunday session. So I'd be doing all those and then running on a Tuesday and Thursday, and I was just so locked in. And there's one of the crazy experiences. It's like, so my friend came down, my dad came down, and then walking out, and there's like 400, 500 people in Unit 1, and walking down, and being in the middle of the ring and looking into the eyes of another man, and I just remember just being like, I'm prepared to die by her, and it was great. It was a great experience.
Did you have like a walkout song?
No, see this thing, because I was one of the first ones, and it was a non-decision one, because so obviously when you do your first fight, usually you don't do a decision first, you do a non-decision.
So sorry, go back a little bit. What do you mean by decision and non-decision?
So it's not technically, there's no winner in a sense that there's no like scorecards. It's more just go fight and you
Have fun.
Well, not have fun. Is it like we were throwing prop for intent to like sort of hurt each other, but there wasn't no technical winner, but like, if I do say it myself, I did win, but maybe I can send some photos over for the edit, but yeah, that was great. And so I guess that's off the bucket list. But what I realised is that you can't play fighting at all. So I've never fully, usually with stuff like Muay Thai or any sort of combat sport, unless you're doing it just sort of for fun, for fitness, you have to be all in or you're not. And so I realised, especially like with certain things I wanted to do, wasn't something I'm gonna pursue. Especially like, from like a CTE point of view, like obviously I was sparring every week. And yeah, I was taking some cracks occasionally. Like I remember one time I was there and I got head kicked. But it's in the middle of sparring, I got head kicked. And I just filmed, like it didn't wobble me, nothing. I just filmed it. I kept going, kept sparring. Finished. It was a thing called Shark Tank. It was. So a Shark Tank is when there's 3 of you, and there's one boy, we were preparing him to go fight. So he would stay in, and then we'd do a round with him, and then after that round done, someone else came in. But there's one person who just stays in the entire time. So what I was doing, I was just trying to get him ready and just push forward. So I wasn't like, fighting tactically. I was putting my gloves up and just biting down and just trying to walk through and putting pressure on him. And I remember he head kicked me, and I just kept going. And then we went into the actual sparring session, and I felt a bit weird. Like I felt like it was like almost as I was lagging. It was like usually shots that I would see coming I didn't see, and I was like at take 5, and I realised I had a bit of a concussion.
Shit.
So yeah, no, and that's just part and parcel of the game. But realising like, oh, okay, if this is not something I'm gonna do as a career or a sport, is there point taking that sort of damage? But I still have to do sort of like I still watch it all, and I still love doing sort of boxing and stuff. But yeah, definitely a sort of move then towards sort of business, and now business and music are sort of merging as one.
Well, I know you keep up still with the weights in the gym, right?
Yeah. So still go to the gym. I can't stand Pure Gym. I can't stand training in Pure Gym. We got a gym by me called Planet Fitness, and I'd say it's probably like the best gym in the UK. One of the best gyms in the UK.
What, at home?
Yeah.
I think you showed me photos of how big it is, haven't you?
It's won awards. It's won like best gym of the year in like UK and Ireland. It's like for where it is, it shouldn't be that good of a gym, but it's state of the art. Like literally one of the best gyms. So I guess I'm spoilt in that way. Like I go to Pure Gym and you're there, you're trying to get on the machine, and I have to ask, oh, can I work in with you? And yeah, so I guess my training isn't as good when I'm here, but when I get back home, I sort of get into a nice rhythm with it and lock in. But yeah, I guess, and again in training, I'm sort of looking, and that's what, I do struggle with weightlifting because it's just like sometimes it's a bit monotonous. Like there's nothing you're going towards. You're just there, and I'm just like, right, I'm just doing chest, I'm just doing shoulders.
Do you not set like targets for like a weight and reps? Or you just go and lift?
That's the thing. Like I do, but then I can't, especially with like sort of university. When I find in university, I always something pops up, and I'm just not as I'm not as dialed in as I need to be in terms of the training stuff. Whereas back home, I feel like I'm locked in a different way. I guess it's because I got my comforts and things around me. But yeah, that's the issue is sort of setting those goals. That's why I love having a fight, because it's like, right, you've got a goal. If you don't train, you're gonna get knocked out. So it's like the greatest motivator
to keep moving, keep going.
Going. Whereas, like, it's sometimes the training can be a bit, it's a bit boring, really. And so, like, I think that's why I've always loved doing combat sport, because it's just fun. Do you mean? And it's like, it's a lot of thinking as well. Like, people think, if people who know, and this is what I realised coming into Exeter, like, people are not as, I guess, you would call it, in the valley, there's like a fighting culture, like that. I guess was a high social currency in sort of school. Like, if you were hard, like, the hard boys.
Oh yeah. Well, no, go on. What were you gonna?
Yeah, so that's something that's not at all prevalent within the sort of the spaces that I've been in university. Like, there's no, and probably for better, to be honest, because like, outside, like, there's no need for violence outside of, like, obviously
Self-defense.
Yeah. So, but that's it. Well, that's what I realised. Like, not many, like, speaking to people, like, not many people can defend themselves. Whereas, where I'm from, like, most people do a bit of boxing. Like, their dad will do a bit of boxing with them, or what have you. And that, I guess, there's no that. Like, I'm always really conscious when I go out, or go anywhere. Like, it's always on the back of my mind. Like, I'm always scanning for threats, and it's just something I've been built. Like, it's just built into me. But I feel that people are not as aware of that. If you come from, I guess, like if you come from, like, a different sort of
more protected family,
more protected
school.
Like, whereas, like, there would be. I remember like the first like, in year 7, that first week, like, there was just an expectation that there would be fights. Like, that's what it was. Like, I remember being like 3-4 fights just in that first week alone. And like, as a kid, you were like, oh, it's great. Like, you love
the excitement. Someone's
like,
on the backfield fighting.
You all jump on the field, and you're all watching. And so you had to be able to defend yourself. And if you didn't, you just sort of stayed away from it. But I think that's the difference. Like, fighting I guess, as a social currency, whereas, I guess, so in different places it might be like being intelligent, or being really
having a lot of money behind it. Sort of thing. Definitely, I've seen how much that dynamic changes from when you go to school to, I would say, maybe college, but definitely university, because the people who in school, when they're good at fighting and stuff, they leave school and stuff, but they don't really do anything. If anything, they actually regress quite badly, because I think it also comes to parenting and just the fact they're not really wanting to get into the education or learn about themselves, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think
so. Yeah. Sorry, I'll quickly just finish my point. One thing that I've seen looking back is quite heartbreaking. A terrible example of these people that stuck around with a bad crowd and stuff, and it's go back to what we were saying earlier. Having the right crowd of people around you. I saw someone but come to learn that someone I went to school with is actually in prison. He on manslaughter charges, which is absolutely crazy. You look back in your life, sort of thing, remember, I used to play football with this guy, and now you're seeing him on BBC News being, arrested and stuff. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Funny if you say that. So there used to be, there's I won't say his name, but there's a boy. So where I grew up, so I have an older brother, so I used to be the younger brother. I used to bother with my older brother's friends. And so someone in his year, and used to, obviously where we used to live, there used to be a lot of us. I used to go around, and so this one guy used to bully me. And I remember, and he was always getting in trouble, and there'd be all different sort of fights, and anyway, just sort of a bad egg. And you would see from a young sort of from a young person, you always knew he was going to be bad. But it came to a point where he'd been in jail, like he'd obviously gone into sort of drug dealing and all that sort of stuff, and he'd been in a situation where he ended up, like, but he pushed. Well, I don't know the story so much, but essentially pushed his dad over, or had an argument with his dad. His dad hit his head and died.
Shit.
He killed his own dad. It was a manslaughter. So then he's going away to prison, and then the wife of the husband and mum, she took her own life. So you see things like that, and it's like you could see the signs from a young kid of him, just I think it's the behaviour, and when we speak about this, people fighting, and what is that ultimately? When a fight occurs, it means that there's a breakdown in communication, or these people, they can't articulate themselves in a way that can resolve the issue. So they just go straight to this sort of animalistic tendencies. Like that's what fighting is. You get so angry and aggressive that's just what you resort to. And I think it is really sad, and like what you said, like seeing people fall into these sort of traps. And they were a kid. Do you know what I mean? Like they were a kid one day, and they had so much opportunity. They could have done some things, but it's making certain life decisions. And then now he's in prison. Like I know a few people. There's another boy who used to not bully me, but like bully. I remember people like I was friends with, and he was at a year above, and he got done, and he got done for drug dealing, had a big bust, and he's in jail now as well. So you see these people, and it's like a cliche, like, oh, if you don't listen in school, you're gonna end up here. But you end up you do, and I think it's a lot to do with that bringing. Like what I notice around me now is people fall into that cycle. Like I know people who are younger than me or my age, and I'm having kids, and like there's nothing For me, I think with kids that you need to be financially set, and if you're not financially set, which is really hard to do at this age, you just
you can rely on the state.
You're relying you're relying on the state, which is very prevalent within my with the community, which is which is quite sad. And then so they who they are. You went to school with them, and you're thinking, right, well, they're definitely not going to be as emotionally mature. Well, or even on the same emotional level in terms of maturity as you. I'm thinking, how are they going to raise a kid? Like, I feel like I couldn't raise a kid right now, and I know like I could raise a kid better than they could raise a kid. So it's like, I'm just there like, oh, but then what you realise is that's what their parents did, and then they go to school, and then they'll do the same things, and then they'll give someone, and then it's just a repeating.
It's a loop, isn't it?
It's a repeating cycle, and I'm sort of trying to break that cycle, and that's why. For me, something I really want to do is teach children, like kids, about like entrepreneurship. Like that was something that I wasn't like until I come to university. It was something I really hadn't encountered at all really, because there was nothing. There was never an option. For me, my only option was university. Like that was always the path. Like I've done well academically, and so I always knew I was going to go to university. But that was the only avenue out. There was never the sort of the idea of running a business or anything like that. So I just think it's sad really, and then you hear things like one of my friends, his mother's a social worker, and so. Social workers, for people who are not sort of experienced with that sort of life, it must be very hard because these are children. Like this one example, like these are children who are experiencing from a young age their parents sort of, doing drugs in front of them. Even some cases like, taking I've heard stories of children who've experienced their parents taking their own life in front of their children, and you're like, that child instantly is going to be messed up for life. To think that they can just have sort of a rudimentary sort of walk through life the same as someone who is brought up in a nuclear family with parents who have both on good money, who've gone to university. Like, how is that child ever going to be able to compete in the same way? So it's just like you realise some people are really dealt a bad hand. And so if I can sort of, help any, people in those situations, I think that would be really good, both through sort of, teaching people that there's other ways to sort of deal with things, like, doing like gym. I think like movement is the biggest one. Doing something physical, doing something like that, but also like being creative and just. So if my songs can provide solace to anyone or comfort, then if to one person, then that'd make me happy. But yeah, it's just a realization of, I feel like really lucky to be where I am in the position I am, and that the realization that some people are just, yeah, they have a hard time from the off.
I definitely relate to you in trying to break the will sort of thing. I mean, I think something I've noticed is my family, and I don't mean to be my parents. I mean, like generally the Swansers and those within like from my mum and dad's side, how they've all been divorced and stuff, and that's something I definitely want to break. And and being able to see your behaviours and how much they're influenced by your parents growing up and stuff is actually so crucial. It's so important because you said, most of those people, when they have kids and stuff, they're going to be doing the exact same thing that their grandparents and their parents and their grandparents. It's like it's a cycle that never stops, never ends until you're fortunate enough to actually realise yourself, really.
Yeah, I think, and that's one of the biggest things coming to this university. What I've realised, I think the biggest gap between wealth is, like, what I've realised is most people that I've met coming to university, their parents are together. The two things that I think are predictors of wealth are parents sit together and both their parents went to university. If both your parents are still together and they both went to university, chances are you're doing all right financially. And that's the same thing with me. My parents divorced, and a lot of my most of my friends, their parents are divorced. Like I think I have one friend whose parents are still together. So it just shows the difference. I bet if you looked at the high income areas compared to low income areas, and then look at rate of divorce, I guarantee the rate of divorce would be higher in low income areas. I think it definitely has a big effect, and I think as a society we need to really go back to the sort of idea of parents staying together, and also I think it comes down to sort of the way you get into relationships and making sure them relationships are set on foundations that are firm and that won't crack. If something goes wrong in the relationship, something changes, you need to know that your relationship's going to withstand those sort of things, and not just sort of crumble at the first sign of trouble.
I think that comes from looking at yourself and understanding, yourself, and trying not to always find someone that's, that you. What is it? I'm just trying to think of what I heard that resonated with me so well is just making yourself the best person possible, and then you would eventually find someone, And even when you date and stuff, I mean, I know you're in the relationship and you've been for quite a while, but when you go through dating and different relationships and you break up and stuff, I think something that I found that is really crucial to, have a successful relationship is just being self-reflective of where you went wrong, really. And for me, that's been crucial in my dating life at uni. I mean, I know I'm not in the relationship now, but looking back on my previous relationship and the people that I've dated and seen, it was, my mistakes and my faults is absolutely crucial, I think, in trying to avoid that pitfall of having a divorced marriage later down in life, and because then that would then impact my kids and stuff as well. And yeah, I definitely think making sure that the person you're with is right for you, because I know, I don't know what your opinion on dating apps is, but I think dating apps is a bit of a there's parts of it that I don't really like, especially if it's just how good looking someone is, as opposed to the personality thing. I think for me is you can date someone that's really, really good looking, but if they have no personality, it's not going to work, is it? You can get a bit of both, and that's very fortunate if you do. But I think personality is very crucial.
Yeah, I think I guess I'm in a very different position to most people. I've been with my girlfriend like 6 years, so I never really have navigated the date. Like, I've never gone on dates or anything like that, or been on any sort of dating apps. So I guess I don't know how experienced my opinion's gonna come across, but I think that it's also to do with like society, and I think we're getting away from it now, but definitely then I guess say the last 10, 20 years, there's been a sort of a rise in this sort of hookup culture and sort of that sort of stuff, and I feel dating apps feed into that in a sense. But I feel now people are realising that how meaningless those sort of interactions are. And yeah, I feel we are moving away from it, and yeah, I just don't think it's not the right conditions to meet someone, you know, for the rest of your life. And like you speak about your breakups, like imagine in those situations if before you broke up you had a child, like imagine that, like how difficult that's going to be, one for you and the child and everyone involved. So I think it's just people need to be not as blasé, and I think that's what people are, like, you know, certain sort of experience with having children, as if it's like a small thing. Oh, it's just having a kid. It's not just having. It's a massive decision, and I don't think people really think, you know, this is not just like, you know, have it for a year then you can go away. Like, this is full life. Like, you're gonna have that, and I think that's what people don't really think through. And so, and again, in sort of relating it back to the sort of the hookup culture, it's like being really selective who you're gonna be with, because, you know, God forbid, you know, imagine you were on a date and you hook up with someone and then they get them pregnant. You're connected to that person for life.
And you've only been together for a couple of hours.
Couple of hours, do you mean? It's like, and that's like, you know, there's the term of like multiplying by zero. Don't multiply by zero. And I think making decisions like that.
It's multiplying by zero.
Yeah, it is multiply. Yeah, so.
That's a good zone.
Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I think it's very different. And obviously, people have got different opinions on it. But ultimately, I think that, you know, hookup culture is ultimately meaningless. And I feel, you know, there's definitely better ways to sort of define people. But I don't know. It might be different for people, because obviously I'm in a unique situation. Like me and my girlfriend went to the same school went to the same secondary school, and yeah, just haven't really looked back since, really.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on how meaningless they are, these hookup cultures, because I did take part in it a little bit in first year, and, you know, I remember just how empty you feel after you know, don't get me wrong, sex is nice and stuff, but like yeah, but it's I think sex in a relationship is significantly better, without a doubt, sort of thing. But I think it's also just like the emotional connection that you get. You know, it's absolutely crucial, really, just to a healthy life and a happy life as well. And yeah, I'm happy. I don't regret taking part in it, because then I realised how meaningless it is. You know, you make those mistakes, and that's what wisdom is, isn't it? Looking back on it and realising actually that was wrong. But yeah, I think also as well, I think some people take part in it because they like the emotional connection and the sex and stuff, but I think they're sometimes a bit afraid to commit, you know, to take responsibility, that sort of thing. Because it can be quite scary getting into a relationship sometimes. But I also think it's very rewarding.
Yeah, and I think also, like we spoke about music, the state of modern music, I think it's promoted a lot. Like this idea of sort of, you know, like for instance, me and my girlfriend was chatting about this before I came on the podcast. So you're speaking about, have you heard of Charlie XCX?
Yes, yeah.
So with Brat, like she has her whole sort of brand is around like bratness, around clubbing, you know, hookup culture, going out, like doing sort of drugs, and sort of she, in her music, it is very promoting, like, you know, just doing cocaine, like bump after bump, like and it's the aesthetic she gives off is she's going out clubbing, you know, every weekend, you know, doing coke, you know, sleeping with all these other people. But then, in reality, Charlie XCX has been in a relationship with someone for like 6 years, so she's not actually doing it. Like she is giving off this sort of persona that this is the life she lives, when in reality she's not living. She's living a life that's very different from that. But I feel that she's using that sort of, I guess, brand and that sort of target audience, people who want to go out clubbing, people who want to go have loads of, you know, sex with strangers and, you know, doing drugs on the weekend. She's using that, but she's not actually really in it. And I don't know, I just feel it's no, you know, fair play, do whatever you want. We live in a free market. You know, if you want to make music about that and do that sort of stuff, crack on. But I just feel, yeah, it's this sort of, you know, this stuff has been pushed by the sort of, you know, the culture and the sort of the mainstream, where I feel, yeah, it ultimately just leaves people less happy and, yeah, unfulfilled. And And again, I guess you know, as you said, you've got to sort of experience that to realize it's a you know, it's not a good thing. But yeah, I do think that these people like that have a sort of responsibility, and to sort of, yeah, I feel it has permeated the culture. This idea of, you know, just sex is not sacred. It's just sort of this exchange, and just normalized, really, like one night stands are like a normalized thing, when realistically, like, you know, for the betterment of society, should we be normalizing stuff like that? I don't know, but yeah, it is interesting, and I think like media and culture does have a big influence on how people react, like day to day. Like for instance, like the big thing, like drinking, like in the UK, like only now have I realised like how, you know, it's so. I didn't realise until I've like, you know, stopped drinking as much, like how normalised it is just to go to the pub and have a pint, and like just go in like anyway, like, you know, having a meal out, have a pint. You know, going out with a few friends, going to have a chat, have a pint. Like, it is actually crazy, and like how we just sort of normalise things like that. And don't get me wrong, I love having a drink. I do. Like, I had a drink on the weekend, but you know, just
It's so encouraged, you know. And I think something I saw, actually, this guy who I follow on YouTube, because they can do like YouTube community posts and stuff. He put something called fit shaming. So like, if you want to eat clean and, you know, get into good shape and get into the gym and stuff, people actually shame it quite a lot. But people are encouraged to, you know, eat shitty McDonald's foods and drink a lot and, you know, have a good time, sort of thing. And you don't get me wrong, you know, everyone, you can enjoy yourself once in a while and eat these like, you know, have a drink and, you know, don't overindulge in bad takeaway foods and stuff. But I can't believe that that's the standard of society, is encouraging people to just be unhealthy, as opposed to, you know, how much better it is for you to be doing exercising and eating clean and drinking more water and getting good sleep, which is something you don't do when you're actually out clubbing as well, are you, really? Because your sleep schedule is so mismanaged, sort of thing. Like, one time you're going to bed at 1 o'clock and then you're going to bed at 10 o'clock. Your body's not going to be used to that, and you're not going to be able to get a good quality sleep, which is, you know, like a foundation for good mental health. And it's quite disappointing in a way, really. And do you know what? I was going to go back a little bit to what you said earlier about the media industry sort of promoting bad behaviours and stuff. And it's something that I've sort of looked at, and it's sort of a question that I sort of became quite interested in, is the importance of role models. So a book that I read recently called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. I don't know if you saw it out. It came out recently. A fantastic book.
Is he the one who did the coddling of the American man?
Yeah, him and someone else. But he mentioned this concept that social media influences young people with. It's called the prestige bias. So that is basically, when you're a kid, you're not going to always look to your parents for advice and influence. You're going to look to people that are well received and really well reputable in like a certain domain. Like, say, like, you look at a fighter, you can look at the best fighter possible. You can take, you know, his interests and how he lives, sort of thing. You can take it to face value. But when you're listening to music that's promoting really promiscuous behaviour or like a bad lifestyle, sort of thing, you can take that to face value. But, oh, that's perfect, that's how I should live, sort of thing, when it's not right.
Yeah, it's if anything, it's like glorifying it in a way, and that's not just, you know, not going, I guess full 1980s of Bible Belt Republican, like, sort of, you know, don't do, because I think, you know, if you look, you know, if we take a step back and look at the sort of the reasons why that sort of behaviour occurred, is, you know, it sort of really started in the, you know, millennials, I guess, would be where that sort of, the way I look at culture is, it's like a pendulum, swings back and forth. So, you know, during the sort of, you know, the 70s and 80s, you had the sort of rise of Thatcher, Reagan, and this sort of neoconservative movement, which sort of said, like, you know, shouldn't do this, like, you know, even things like sort of like homosexuality, like they sort of banned all sort of stuff around that, like, you know, going out drinking, sort of drugs, doing all this stuff, which, you know, they were really, they forced it too much, and they tried to force their own beliefs onto people, and that's, you know, it's Isaac Newton. It's like, oh God, I'll butcher this, but it's like every reaction has an equal and opposite reaction. So I'm saying, if I push on you, the first thing you're going to do is push back, just naturally. So if you're saying to people, you know, you can't be doing this, then people are naturally going to want to do that. So I think that's why we had sort of a rise at a really like conservative sort of, especially in the UK and in the US with Reagan and Thatcher, this really conservative sort of ideology. Now people are going to push back that. So we have the rise of things like Green Day, all this sort of punk and all this sort of music coming out. And then, so that is where that came from. Now I think we're in a stage where, you know, the major governments have sort of been more sort of, you know, left wing, or I guess, I don't like the sort of political labels on stuff, but like, you know, socially sort of more progressive. I guess you've seen the rise of sort of what would be termed like wokeism, and I think now you've got to, you know, we've gone the other way, and I think that's sort of encapsulated by the election of Trump. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think if you look at it, it's a pushback. So I feel we're going, you know, and obviously, you know, not to say everything Trump does is amazing, which certainly isn't. But in terms of, I guess, the social fabric of society, I think there's a move more back to, I guess more like traditional principles. I guess we're talking about, you know, the sort of death of hookup culture and things like that, and realising the importance of fitness and staying in, like, you know, maybe not eating fast food is good for you. Maybe not eating, but even, you know, fast food's the easy ones, but like even things like microwave meals, like everything like that, like things you put in the air, like all these sort of, we're becoming a lot more educated on the sort of the intricacies of the food industry, sort of like seed oils, all these things, which, you know, I like when I was a kid, like I used to think Rustler burgers were the best.
Oh.
I thought we have, as a society, I think this is it. We can quit now. I can come home from school. I put a Rustler burger in the microwave. I'm watching TV. I'm like,
this is
what else is there to do? There's no more like we don't get any better than this. But obviously now, as obviously older, you know, you put in a Rustler burger into
and you just fucking feel depressed, don't you?
Yeah, but it's, and that's it. I like, bro, you know, like that is my biggest. I do love shit like junk food. Like I you know, as much as I do love a junk, like Cheetos. What? Like how do you make something so good? like have you ever had the flaming hot Cheetos? Oh,
It's do you know what? It's the thing that I think with the food industry is like, you got to admit it's pretty evil, all this food that they put in there and all the ingredients they make to make it addictive, but it's evil genius. You know, you got to appreciate it in terms of how good it is sometimes. Yeah. I mean, definitely the Rustler burgers. I mean, I remember having those as a kid. Oh my God, having those, playing WWE 2K14 with my mate. Oh man, those are the days. Or playing Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and 2.
3 for me, but like obviously you're a bit older than me, but like there was nothing better, right? There was nothing better. And like I had a really strong friendship group in school. We'd be there and we'd be in school. We'd just mess around all day, talking about going on COD or like Minecraft. I'd come home. My mum would be working or something, so I'd walk home, be a free house, get in, Rustler burger, straight in, walk upstairs, tie off, on the PlayStation, straight on the PlayStation party on Minecraft. I would then sit there and I'd play Minecraft then till like the night. Like just play it all day, and then that would be it. And that was like peak life. Like, and at the minute, I have a little brother, and he's going through that phase of like the PlayStation phase, and it's like, I'm just like, enjoy it. It's literally,
make the most of it.
It's the best. Like that, and that's where I've done all my socialization. And I think it's very interesting, the difference between sort of males and females and how they sort of socialize. Like, what I think is, my thought was, and especially at the time, was I speak to my friends 24/7 because we're all on the PlayStation together. Like, I'd come up, like, we'd be in school all day together, come home, spend all night with each other, like, on the PlayStation, and I'd be like, well, what do the girls do? Like, how do they? I think this is why I had such strong bonds with my friends, because I've literally spent hours, like, I'd spend more time with them than my own family, because we'd be in school together like, some of my friends as well, I got to primary school, so I know them all through primary school, all through secondary school, like, and obviously still speak to them now, but even coming home from school, like, we'd spend hours on the games, and yeah, it's just, it's really interesting, and I think, yeah, it is, but what were we saying? I forgot what were we saying, but yeah, Rustler burgers.
Rustler burgers, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's it. I just like junk food is just like, I love what did I have last night? It was nice. Oh, a caramelized onion cheese. Had that with some garlic and chili olives. Oh God,
He's in heaven.
yeah, it was good. And that's the thing, I do love a wine. This is my issue. Ooh, a bit of red wine would be nice, but I can't. Like it's just not a good feel. And that's I always just think, oh, I wish they could make McDonald's healthy. Like imagine you could slam like a few Big Macs and like you feel awesome, like you just eat them. I don't know.
But again, they wouldn't make that money now, would they? You know,
Yeah.
for the people, because it won't probably taste as good. I feel like sometimes, not all the time, but mostly healthier food is not as palatable as shitty food, isn't it? I think that's what's so good about palatable food.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing it's not the actual like the food, it's the convenience. I think that is the big thing, like that, and like to cook everything fresh all the time. It does take a long time, and especially like if you're busy and try to do stuff like, I'll be on campus and I'll be be working, and it's like, right, do I go home, go cook, which is gonna take like by the time I cook, prepare the stuff, cook, clean, I'm looking like an hour minimum. Or do I quickly pop the phone and grab something just to snack on? So it's you've got to make those sort of trade-offs, and yeah, but I there's nothing I like more than just like cooking something fresh. Like I like making my own sauces. Like I do like an onion and garlic sauce. And I didn't realise like how easy it is to make your own sauce. Like it's literally just add a stock and add a bit of cream, and you've got a lovely little sauce. So yeah, but no, and yeah, I think that's a good thing. Like I don't know what your experience was in first year, but I was looking at some people I was in my halls with in first year. I was like, oh my God, you've got like zero cooking skills. Like you've had pesto pasta now for the 7th night. Like you can't keep eating pesto pasta. Like surely.
I think my people that I lived with in the first year were actually pretty good cooks, to be honest with you. There was a guy he'd just come out of the Royal Marines and he was doing medicine, and this guy would cook like a whole chicken breast for like the entire week, but he'd have it like with different like veggies and stuff, and it was so impressive sometimes. I mean, I'll be honest, I will hold my hand up, my cooking skills are not actually that good. I mean, for me, I just meal prep the entire week and I just change up my meats and stuff that I have for dinner. But I think some things for me, like I love doing is like learning to cook sort of thing, or cooking some easy things like Korean beef. So it's like a not sugary, but like a sweet.
Yeah, put like brown sugar in, is it?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah,
And that it's
with rice.
It's that there's this little paste in it. It's called I forget what it's called, but I know I've done a Korean barbecue sauce recently, so that's what I know. But my go-to is like I do like a lasagna soup.
Mate, lasagna is.
Yeah,
I think that if I had to choose one meal before I die, I think a homemade lasagna from my nan. She absolutely makes a banging lasagna.
But this is another thing that's annoying for me, is I'm allergic to wheat and cow's milk. Like both of them. Like I've struggled with sort of my eczema and stuff, and I was like, right, I need to get an allergy test because, yeah, I just don't know what it was. So I paid like £200 to do this private allergy test, and it came back like foods, cow's milk and wheat, which straight away, that's like majority of foods, and even tomato as well. Like tomatoes, like that's like a lesser one. So when I'm eating this, that adds another complexity. Like I have to get like gluten-free stuff, like dairy-free stuff, which is just not always. I had caramelized onion cheese last night. Like it's because I'm really like, I probably shouldn't eat it, but it's just it tastes
so good.
It's so good, and it's just like, yeah, I'll just take the hit. But yeah, so that's added another complexity into my life. But yeah, and I don't know. I like another thing that really annoys me, and I was getting annoyed about the other day was like the veg. No, not veg. Fruit. It's like £3 for like a pack of raspberries. Like raspberries should be cheaper than chocolate. And I think this is the issue. Like I can get loads of crap chocolate crisps for I can get loads of that, but a little pack of raspberries. And it's like if you want to eat clean, it is expensive in some regards. Like other things like veg is relatively cheap, and I guess protein is that's where most of your money's going to go on. But yeah, like things like fruit should be way cheaper. We shouldn't be used to be like 50p for a pack of raspberries, not like £2.
Yeah, I think maybe it's something like the government could. I mean, I don't really know personally. I don't know about policies that much about taxing and stuff with regards to food companies, but maybe increase sugar tax sort of thing and use that money to help farmers. But I mean, honestly, that's just an idea off the top of my head. I really don't know. I've not done any research.
Well, what they're doing is there's a scheme actually on the government's website, and to sell, they're trying to buy up all the farms. So you can, if you're a farmer, you can sell your farm to the government, and that's something they're constantly trying to do. Which, if I put my tinfoil hat on, I don't think that's the best. And obviously, you've seen the stuff, all the farmer strikes. There's been a lot of unrest, but yeah, I wouldn't. It wouldn't be. And this is I guess I'm always sort of a skeptic of the government. I'm very skeptical of the sort of people with power, and I feel people, if you have power, you want more power. You're not just gonna be happy with it. So I'm very skeptical of the idea that the government control all the food supply, because that's a very dangerous situation. Because if you have a government that controls the entire food supply, if you're
control the population, don't you?
Well, yeah, you can just if you're saying opinions we don't like, or you're rioting, not rioting, like protesting, we'll just turn the food off.
Or wag your foot. Well, I wag their foot. Like,
or the idea of having these going to a cashless society, which I feel there's been a big push towards. I don't really like the idea of all the money being controlled by the government, because they can just turn it off. They've done it. Like in Canada, there was during COVID, there was these trucker riots, and they were rioting over the vaccine or something like that. Whatever they were protesting over, irrespective. They froze their bank accounts. So they were protesting. They froze the bank accounts of the people who were protesting. Like that. Like if that doesn't shout 1984, I don't know what does. So that's I'm always since I read 1984. I'm very, very skeptical of government power, and I'm a big proponent of limiting government power, because once they get more power, they're not going to give it up. Well, like if you look at thing after sort of 9/11 in America, you've got the Patriot Act, and you've got the sort of Terrorism Act in the UK, which essentially means that they didn't have to. I'm probably butchering this, but they could just. They could arrest. If they think you're a terrorist,
they could just arrest you.
They could just arrest you. Like they don't. There's no. There's nothing they have to really go for. They can just arrest you, and then they find out later. So yeah, I'm a bit skeptical of government power, but yeah, I think, and that's the thing with politics in general. I think if you get into politics, you become so apathetic because you realise, it's a big system. It just feels like people, they're not trying to do anything better. They're not trying to improve. They're just trying to keep their job, and I think that's the difference. They're not actually trying to make things better. They're trying to be, because in every decision they make, it's not just right. Okay, what is the best decision for the country? It's factored in. Okay, what is the best decision that they think is for the country, but also is going to keep them being popular. Because, there might be a decision that makes them very unpopular, but is the right decision to make. And I think that's the issue. Like, if you look like America, for example, in like LA, in terms of the homelessness problem, there's no incentive. There's people who's in charge of the homeless problem. They're getting paid 6-figure salaries to solve the homelessness problem. But so then why would they solve it? They're getting paid every year to solve a problem. If they solve that problem, they haven't got a job. So there's no incentive alignment, and I think that's the biggest thing in business, in government. The incentive alignment needs to be correct. Otherwise, people will always will perform behaviours that are in their self-interest, which might be to the detriment of the actual overarching goal.
It can be actually quite depressing when you look into politics and even the news as well, and just realising how misleading it is and just how angry people get over it, really. We've almost hit 2 hours as well.
Really?
Yeah, 1 hour 55. Holy shit.
I didn't even feel like
To be fair, we did spend about a couple of minutes trying to get the arm socket to work for you.
Well,
I would go for longer, but these SD cards only last about 2 and a bit hours.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's been actually such a good laugh having you on, man. Thank you for coming on. I mean, before we say our little goodbyes, is there any social medias that you want people to follow you on?
Yeah, so on TikTok, Lewis Lee Jones. I'm sort of looking to grow that, and then on Instagram, it'll be like Lewis Jones. Or I'm gonna change. I'm in the process of making my Instagram public because I've already got like 900 odd followers on there just from my. I've always had a private Instagram account, but I'm making that public. So Lewis Jones, Lewis Lee Jones, anything like that. Yeah, I'm going to be posting new music. So yeah, check it out, leave a comment, engage, if you don't like it, let me know. Any engagement would be good. But yeah, keep an eye out. And yeah, it was good. It was really good talking to you, Tom. And yeah, I'll definitely come on again. I'd like to do like a live performance, whatever.
Definitely before you graduate and before you say goodbye to Devon. I definitely want to get you back on.
I'll come back on whenever. I didn't even realise it'd been 2 hours. I thought
Mate, we've had a good laugh.
Yeah, we did. But yeah, no, thanks for having me on. And yeah, all the best.
Thank you, Lewis.
No worries.